Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Firefly Studios video. Aaron here with another episode of Stronghold Chill. To that end, I've brought our producer, Paul Harris, who you've probably seen in a few other videos, our making of videos especially. As usual, if you don't know the format of the show, I basically ask Paul 10 questions, some about his work here at Firefly Studio, some about sort of general life questions like from his favourite musician to, you know, his most hours played in any game ever. And then while we do that, I'll be doing a 1v1 custom skirmish versus the rat because he's nice and easy. But yeah, Paul, are you ready to get started?
Yeah, sure.
While I establish my defences, set up a resound stone wall and, you know, get all my wood going and such, could you explain to our lovely audience what exactly you do at the studio, sort of what your day-to-day is, that sort of thing?
I am part of the production department, essentially. Production's right in the centre of games development. So, you know, I get involved in lots of different areas, pretty much all of our games. Like today, I've worked on Stronghold 2, I've worked on Metamorph, I have just had a Stronghold Next Skype call.
Very exciting.
So yeah, I'm in a lot of meetings, you know, generally whether it's either meetings just so that, you know, if my opinion is needed or just so that I'm aware of what's going on. So yeah, it's, you know, I really enjoy it. I can be doing the most boring tasks in the studio and I can be doing some really, you know, cool stuff where, you know, I'm at the middle of decision making. So, you know, I was looking at terms of use and privacy policies for Stronghold Kingdoms this morning. So, you know, it's like, that's a really dull end, you know.
That's the soundbite I'll be using.
But, you know, some of the legal stuff, you know, business stuff as well. You know, a lot of games development these days it's obviously making games is one thing, but at the end of the day, it's, you know, there's a business to be run. So anything that doesn't come under art, design, programming, or marketing comes to me because there's no one else to do it. So I do it. So sorry, that was my long-winded answer.
No, that's perfectly good. So now that we've analysed your day-to-day and what you do here, I like to sandwich in some more relaxed questions. So could you tell our lovely audience what your favourite game of all time, excluding Firefly titles, of course.
Favourite game of all time is, it's a bit old now, but it's Championship Manager 2. I used to religiously play that game. Absolutely religiously play that game. And oddly though, I've tried to play Football Manager, and one, I'm rubbish at it, and two, there's almost too much. I just find it too
overwhelming.
Yeah, it's just too much stuff to do. I really liked your Championship Manager, where you bought and sold players, you chose a formation, you slotted the players in, you played the games, you got the results, you know, and that kind of, you know, I preferred it when it was a bit simpler.
Some developers have, you know, wanted to be a game dev since, you know, they picked up an N64 way back in the day, but some sort of fell into it. But were you one or the other in that you wanted to be in the video game industry since a young age, or is it something you fell into?
I guess, you know, without necessarily thinking it, obviously I thought I want to make games. I'd love to make games when I'm older. Difficult thing for me is that I knew from that, everybody knows whether they're an artist or not, right? Normally from about the age 5, you know whether you're an artist or not. So I knew I wasn't an artist, and my attempts at programming weren't very successful either. You know, you need a sort of certain kind of brain for programming. So, you know, I wasn't sure how, how I would be in the industry. But I've always, even growing up though, although I loved games, I also loved reading about the industry in general. So, you know, the business of games, and, you know, I always knew who made every game. I was interested in the industry, and so yeah, I guess, you know, I definitely knew I wanted to work in games.
Yeah, for sure. Now the next question I'm pretty excited about, because so far everyone I've interviewed, I think Nick's been the longest serving person at the studio I've interviewed. But yourself, you've been at the studio how long?
15 years now.
15 years.
15 years.
So that leads to my excitement with asking you what your happiest memory of Firefly is for the whole of those 15 years.
I don't know. I think we've mentioned this on the video before, and I hope it's not Nick's happiest memory as well, because I was with Nick when it happened. We were at Gamescom.
Oh yes,
the Gamescom moment.
Where, show, yeah.
So we were at. If anybody's heard this, but I apologise. But we were at Gamescom, Stronghold Crusader 2, just before it launched, and basically we were doing an interview with. We were like presenting our game to someone, and the guys from Comic came over and said, "Yeah, we've got a problem." Nick and I, oh my god, great! The game is obviously gone, is crashing or something. Yeah. And they said, basically, there's a queue to play Stronghold Crusader 2, and it's causing a bit of a, the queue is getting in the way.
Oh, I never heard that.
And so it was causing a health and safety issue, and so they needed to basically shut down one of the demo pods for one of their own games, and put Crusader 2 on it.
Wow.
So so they could get more people playing Crusader 2, and it was great.
Now, to sour that, I will ask, as I've asked every dev so far, what's been your worst memory of Firefly?
At the end of Stronghold 2, we did work a lot of extra hours. Back in the day. I don't know, when you hear about gold mastering, it literally meant that you copied your final version of the game onto a gold compact disc, right? So and so that was gold master. So on the day we were doing our gold master, we ran it, but naively we hadn't actually tested it out with the DRM system applied to it until the day when we actually did the gold master. And we found out when testing the gold master that there was some weird problem with pigs. And for whatever we had to make a decision at that point whether we were going to actually master it or not. And in the end we said we had to stop because it was crashing the game because of these pigs that were being affected by DRM, which it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. Just because of the way DRM works, it grabs onto bits of code and protects them and stuff, and unless you specify areas we naively just thought, we'll just DRM it and get out, it'll be protected. But you really need to kind of wrap the DRM round bits of code. Otherwise, you're taking a bit of a risk, which we learned in hindsight. So essentially, the day when we were going to master it, and I think, and this might be my bad memory, I think it was Good Friday. So we were working on Good Friday. I'm pretty sure we might have had the Saturday off, and then I'm pretty sure we were back in certainly Easter Monday and maybe Easter Sunday. And in the end, I think we decided to delay it for 2 weeks. But that was after working Good Friday and Easter Monday. And then at that point deciding it was, we were just not making, we weren't making logical decisions. When you get to a point where you're desperate. You're desperate to get out. But that was grim. That was grim.
Now that we've sort of deep dived into your memories of Firefly, if someone out there is listening right now and was just like, oh, that's something I want to do, maybe not best positioned after the worst memory question, but if someone out there is saying, oh, I want to do what you do, Paul, and I want to be a producer and game into game production, what advice would you give them?
I got into games production I got a job doing QA. So I did a business degree, but after my degree I wasn't really sure exactly what I wanted to do. Originally I thought I wanted to sort of go into some kind of financial stuff, and then I kind of felt I got a bit jaded at the end of my degree and wasn't sure if it was for me. And then so after I did my degree, I got a job doing quality assurance, but it was only I was only really sort of thinking as a temporary measure. But fell in love with working within a games developer, and so I think QA is still a good route in. I think getting any kind of work experience at a developer for a week or two is is a very good idea. It's always useful to have kind of peripheral skills, so learn a bit of Photoshop, because everybody needs to manipulate some art and stuff at some point. Definitely keep an eye on the industry. Just learn what all the jobs are, because as a producer, you need to know what everybody does. So it's handy to have that knowledge. Yeah, for sure. And always, obviously, research the company.
Again, to reel back from the business talk, we'll go for something a bit more lighthearted and ask for your favourite musician of all time.
Musician? Well, actually, when I was growing up, I actually really liked back then it was called an electronic band called 808 States, which was kind of like the Manchester dance scene, late 80s kind of thing, but then it was kind of rather predictably, I was sort of Oasis. That kind of thing. But I got quite a wide-ranging taste in music.
So could you take us through your favourite Firefly title?
I've got a soft spot for actually Stronghold Legends, actually.
Okay. I've heard a lot of rumblings from some of the devs here that Stronghold Legends is
I think it's
sleeping giant at the studio.
it's got a lot to love about it. There's just a sort of nice sort of level of polish to it, and it's got some nice features. Some features that I think are pretty cool. So, maybe Stronghold Legends.
This leads on nicely to my next question, which is excluding Firefly titles that we just talked about. What is your highest number of hours played?
It's difficult.
I mean, but I imagine pre-Steam you'd have.
Well, that's the thing, you see.
If you could estimate,
I used to play a load of Civilization.
Okay.
Championship Manager 2, obviously. Yeah. But yes, I played back in the day. Played quite a lot of Counter-Strike. It's normally these days it's normally multiplayer type games.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I think everybody's probably said this one at Firefly. We used to religiously play Team Fortress 2 at lunchtime. Which everybody's got funny stories about that.
We did get a taste of that recently. We relit the server and played a bit.
It was quite funny though. Team Fortress 2 got so competitive at times that so we'd play from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and then after you finished the game at 2 o'clock, often there would be absolute silence in the office for a good 15 to 30 minutes, while everybody the winning team just wasn't allowed to say anything because the losing team was so mad, so stressed out about it.
So I think that brings us to our final question. Could you tell us what you're going to be doing after this interview, even though it is a Friday evening?
That is a good question. What am I going to do? What was I just doing? I was on a call. Oh, I know what I'm doing. I need to check a build of Stronghold 2 on our 4K TV here. Which is just here.
Is that a hint of a...
It might be.
Well, as my troops heroically...
he's still alive. Okay. Done.
Yeah, in none of the interviews yet have I actually died, so I'm very proud of that.
It's because you learn your lesson in that video. Yeah. You chose a hard opponent, you go for the easy ones now.
Yeah, it's hard enough interviewing somebody while they're...
Otherwise it would have been over about 25 minutes ago.
As my troops siege the wall, we'll end it there, Paul. I want to thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you.
Appreciate the time. If you have any of the remaining developers in mind, although I think I've done most people in the studio now, if any of the developers in mind that you want to see take the hot seat, take the 10 questions of game dev and general life, then please do comment below and let me know. And as always, if you like the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe here on YouTube for more Stronghold goodness every single week. See you next week.